It's Tuesday, September 9th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. St. John reveals red zones where tent encampments will be removed. Security threats forces Davis Cup tennis behind closed doors.
Conditions turn breezy and slightly cooler late this week, but still not much rain in the forecast.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Some of the world's best tennis players will play to empty seats in Halifax this weekend. Tennis Canada made the unusual move to bar spectators from attending the Davis Cup competition between Canada and Israel, citing security threats. CTV's Jesse Thomas reports.
Just days before play, Tennis Canada has announced no fans will be allowed inside the Scotiabank Centre for the highly anticipated Davis Cup qualifier between Canada and Israel. The decision follows security intelligence shared with Tennis Canada suggesting an increased safety threat. Tennis Canada, which is hosting the tournament, also cited recent disruptions at events in Canada and abroad. CEO Gavin Ziv called it a difficult move, but said it was their only choice. We were forced to conclude that playing behind closed doors was the only way to both safeguard those involved and preserve the event itself. After the decision to bar spectators, Halifax Council withdrew the $50,000 it pledged for the two-day tournament. As the event no longer offered the expected tourism and economic kickbacks, Mayor Andy Fillmore is disappointed for the fans.
People bought plane tickets, they bought hotel rooms, they've made restaurant reservations, they've arranged their lives to come and watch Team Canada play in Halifax, and they're going to have to modify those plans. That's disappointing. Halifax works really hard to be a welcoming, inclusive city for athletes and sporting events from all around the world.
Halifax has recently hosted other major international events like the World Junior Hockey Tournament, but this time the stands will be empty. Tough news for tennis fans looking to see some of the best players in the world.
And watching tennis live is always such a fun thing, so I was planning to go, but sucks it's now canceled. But
yeah. Sucks the conditions that brought it around, everything going on with Israel, but you know, really just you want to see that level of tennis, you know what I mean?
The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs says the decision punishes the fans who wanted to cheer on Israel in Canada. They urge political leaders to protect public spaces from hate, saying it is unacceptable that hate, harassment, and intimidation have made it unsafe to support our athletes in our own country. Protests against Team Israel competing here have taken place already in Halifax, with other rallies planned during the tournament. CTV security expert Chris Lewis says for fans to be barred, a significant threat had to have been identified.
There's something there that's bigger than the normal, well, we might have a protest. Probably going to have a protest anyway. But with people inside and an active, group of folks, it could be worse. And we've seen worse around the world.
Halifax police say they'll have a presence inside and outside the venue this weekend, but as for any other details, they wouldn't elaborate, citing security reasons. As for the Davis Cup, however, this is just another setback. Earlier this week, Canada's top player, Félix Auger-Aliassime, who's climbed in the world rankings to the 13th spot after that run in the U.S. Open to the semifinals, announced he wouldn't be coming to Halifax, citing fatigue issues there. As far as the tournament play goes, games are expected to go Friday and Saturday, and you can almost guarantee protesters will still be gathered here as well outside the event this weekend. It'll only be watched inside. Todd, I confirmed today that media won't even be allowed inside to cover the tournament. We'll have to watch it from outside as well. And yeah, so more news perhaps to come, Todd, but certainly a bit of a shocker for the sporting world.
Yeah, no doubt. I understand it's still going to be broadcast on television. That will not satisfy a lot of people who had those tickets, though. All right, Jesse Thomas, thank you from downtown Halifax, Scotiabank in the background there. Now, just after 6:30, we'll get CTV public safety analyst Chris Lewis, who you saw in Jesse's report. He'll give us his thoughts on what might be behind this move by Tennis Canada. And there's more coverage of this at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A new map of St. John is dotted with red zones, areas where tent encampments are no longer allowed. The map approved by City Hall comes with a long list of rules around homeless tents. CTV's Avery McRae has the details.
St. John is rolling into the red with the next phase of its Housing for All strategy.
Working with our partners, we came to the conclusion that this is how we want to implement the plan to move forward.
Red zones are area the city will not allow tents, encampments, or structures to be erected. Tenting of any kind would also not be permitted within 200 meters of any places that support children or crisis care facilities. A 100-meter buffer is needed around playgrounds and splash pads. The buffer zone for encampment setup shrinks down to 30 meters surrounding sports fields, parks, and major transportation lines, while the buffer zone for tenting is just 5 meters off the Harbor Passage Trail. As seen on this map, it's a large area where tents won't be allowed.
We're not, going in there with the police to move people. We're trying to create relationships with people, and we're trying to do what's best for them, because there are people that are in situations where they actually have nowhere else to go.
Instead, the city will undertake a phased approach led by outreach teams to relocate people off red zones into yellow zone properties where tenting will be allowed. The exact whereabouts of these sites is still unclear, but they will mostly fall on vacant city properties. They will also have some rules, like how many and how close tents can be to one another. While the city touts its latest steps to address homelessness, nonprofits see things differently.
The plan as it is now is we're going to just move people around.
Melanie Vautour says no matter the zone color, vulnerable people will find their way back to the uptown area to access essential services or go into hiding.
That will make it even more challenging to find them. This really is just going to lead to more desperation, more crime, and also, unfortunately, an increase in the risk of death.
Any spot of research of this kind of thing being done in any other city is going to show you the exact same result. It doesn't work.
The city aims to have no tents left on red zone sites by the end of October. Ava McRae, CTV News, St. John.
There is growing pushback against Halifax Water's proposed rate hikes that would cost the average customer hundreds of dollars more over 2 years. And CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports the utility argues it needs the money to improve and expand the system.
Halifax Water is about to go in front of the Nova Scotia Regulation and Appeals Board asking for 2 rate increases, 16.2% on January 1st. The second increase of 17.6% would be added on April 1st.
We are forecasting approximately $18.5 million deficit for fiscal 25-26 and almost $37 million deficit for 26-27.
According to the utility, the average yearly residential bill would increase by $148 next year and an additional $187 the following year.
Mostly it's attributed to managing the growth in the city, the aging infrastructure.
The business community is bracing for the increase. Olin Brewery sent a letter to the appeals board saying a jump in their water bill plus the geographical difficulties they face would force them to reconsider some of their operations. Adding these increased costs makes it extremely challenging to increase our production volume at the Olin Brewery and threatens existing production levels.
It is a concern. It's an added cost to many other costs.
Even more crippling for smaller businesses, according to Duncan Robertson of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.
The big concern is it is a revenue-insensitive cost. So, I mean, no matter how well or poorly your business is doing, you're facing that cost at the end of the month.
Jeff Myrick says he understands the frustrations of businesses and homeowners.
We know that customers are pinched, but ultimately, we have to get back to a cost-neutral basis for our long-term financial health.
Halifax Water's last general rate application in 2022 was approved with a 3.6% increase to rates in December and another 3.6% in April of 2023. And Todd, those rate hike hearings are scheduled to begin on September 15th, and if necessary, they'll go through to the 19th. Those hearings are open to the public, Todd, but the registration deadline to speak at those hearings has already passed.
All right, John, in Halifax, thank you. It's certainly a utility that has had its issues in this past year. In tonight's CTV web poll, we're asking, do you think government should do more to limit increases to utility rates? Your options, pretty basic here, yes or no. Vote now at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A new report says the impact of a cyber attack on Nova Scotia Power in the spring could be even bigger than originally thought. The province's electric utility says all of its 550,000 customers may have been affected by the March attack instead of the roughly 277,000 it previously thought. Nova Scotia Power says hackers have stolen customer information that could include names, email addresses, bank account numbers, and social insurance numbers. NSP submitted its report to the independent Nova Scotia Energy Board last week. It is investigating the breach. Live look now at uptown St. John, 18 degrees under mainly blue skies. Would you call that, Kalen Mitchell?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Very sunny day for St. John and many areas of New Brunswick for today. Taking a look at our radar and satellite picture, the reason for that is there's a large area of high pressure sitting pretty much right over top of the Maritime region. There is some cloud cover around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia and eastern parts of the province. That's spilling in off a stalled weather front just off towards the east. A little bit frustrating because there's a lot of moisture tied up in that front, a lot of available moisture if we just had a weather system to tap into it to bring us rain, but it's all sitting there, as you can see, just off the Atlantic coastline of the province. There is a low that's going to be moving up and along that front late Wednesday into Thursday, and it does bring a chance of some showers right now to the province of Nova Scotia, though I wouldn't go beyond calling it a chance of showers at this point because it is still entirely possible that the bulk of the rain could hold just off the Atlantic coastline. We really need that moisture. Taking a look at our cloud outlook then for the remainder of tonight, we're looking at mainly clear conditions for much of the Maritime region, with the exception being, again, some high cloud cover holding on near the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia into the southwest of the province. Does make it a pretty ideal night for some night sky viewing. Here's some things you can see. It's a waning gibbous moon, 96% illuminated, and that'll be above the eastern horizon by around 10 p.m., so rising above the eastern horizon. You can look for the planet Saturn just to the left of the moon, and if you're a stargazer out there, the Big and Little Dipper will be present just above the northern horizon throughout the night. Todd.
All right, we'll see you a little later in the show. Thanks, Kalen. To Cape Breton now, where tempers flared at a bail hearing for one of the men charged in connection with a violent murder earlier this year. CTV's Ryan McDonald was in court in Sydney. Ryan, what happened?
Well, it was an emotionally charged day here at the courthouse in Sydney as a man charged with first-degree murder in a high-profile case here in the community was granted bail today. A large crowd gathered today at the courthouse in Sydney as 49-year-old Chris Neville appeared before the court seeking bail on a charge of first-degree murder in connection with the February shooting death of 44-year-old Jeff Pearson. Pearson was found dead in this home on Shore Road in Whitney Pier in the early hours of February 22nd. A short time later, 3 men from out of province were arrested and charged with first-degree murder. On July 31st, Neville was arrested in Halifax on the same charge. Today, in front of a packed courtroom that included a number of the victims' family members and friends, Neville was granted bail after $630,000 was put up by himself and 3 sureties. It's a bail amount the Crown called one of the largest ever seen in Nova Scotia, though they added that it comes with a long list of conditions.
It's strict house arrest. He is to stay in his house 24/7. There are security cameras around the house to entries and exits that are accessible to the police. He has a GPS monitor that monitors every few seconds as to his exact location. That information is accessible to the police. His communications on social media are prohibited.
The conditions also include a ban from airports, heliports, and ferry terminals, and having to turn in his passport. An angry crowd voiced their displeasure outside the courtroom, and at least one person was kicked out of the courtroom shortly after the bail was granted. And the accused is due back here at the courthouse in Sydney for a preliminary hearing beginning on October the 28th. Back to you.
All right, Ryan in Sydney, thank you. And a man was set to stand trial on first-degree murder and attempted murder charge for a 2016 killing in Halifax. Instead, he pleaded guilty just as a jury was about to be picked. CTV's Callum Smith reports the accused has a lengthy criminal past.
Prospective jurors filled this courthouse in Dartmouth. They waited and waited, but were never called. Instead, shortly after 11 a.m., Justice Jamie Campbell told them they were no longer needed. That's because Tyrell Deschamps pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder as well as attempted murder.
Mr. Champ decided to acknowledge responsibility today. We were able to advise the family straight away, and they were very relieved. You know, it's been a long time coming. It's been 9.5 years.
9.5 years since Naricho Clayton and Ricardo Winder were shot in an SUV on Godgen Street. Clayton died at the scene suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and Winder survived life-threatening injuries. Prosecutors told the judge Clayton had a loaded handgun in his waistband at the time. His death was one of 3 murders within 1 week, 2 of which Deschamps has now been convicted for. He gunned down Tyler Richards, a professional basketball player in Halifax, only 2 days earlier. A Canada-wide warrant was issued for his arrest. He failed to return to a halfway house on Godgen Street the night Clayton was killed. He had served 2/3 of his sentence for second-degree murder for a 2007 stabbing of Matthew Eyre and aggravated assault for punching a woman in 2012. He was taken into custody in Ottawa later in 2016 after the double shooting. He was then arrested again at the Atlantic Institution Correctional Facility in Renouse, New Brunswick, and brought back to Halifax, where he was charged with the murders and attempted murder in December of 2017. He had been convicted of first-degree murder after a 2020 jury trial for killing Richards, later unsuccessfully appealing it. As for this case, Deschamps confirmed to the judge he understood that a change in pleas means he won't be tried for these charges. Now, why has it taken so long to get here? Well, this trial was originally set for May of 2020, but COVID put a pause on that. Then in 2022, as it was about to get started, Deschamps fired his lawyer, causing another delay. One thing we still don't know about the double shooting is why. As part of a brief agreed statement of facts, there are no details about any possible motive or connection between Deschamps and Clayton or Winder. Sentencing is set for October 15th. Todd.
All right, we know you will be there for that. Callum Smith in the News Center with us tonight. Nova Scotia's measles outbreak continues to grow with a new exposure site in a Halifax hospital. Officials say one of their newest confirmed cases was in the ER at the QE2 infirmary overnight Monday, then in the hospital's imaging department that morning. People exposed could develop symptoms of measles as early as 7 days and up to 21 days later. Pregnant women, infants, and immunocompromised patients who may have been exposed are all urged to contact public health. There have now been 61 confirmed cases of measles in the province. Patients at the Moncton and Dumont hospitals are now being fast-tracked for nursing home beds, bypassing others who have been on the waiting list. The province confirmed the change this afternoon. Nursing home admissions are usually done in order, but those waiting in a hospital can be moved ahead if the bed occupancy rate exceeds 95%. Both the Horizon and Vitalité health authorities asked the province to make the change this summer, citing pressures in regional hospitals. Still to come, a cooler September night ahead. Kaylin has the details and the full forecast, but next, hazards underfoot.
It's burning deep because of the drought, and these fires can smolder for days.
We get a look at the fire threat burning just under the surface. That story is next. Crews in the fight against the Long Lake wildfire gave us a look at what they're up against. While it's currently being held, officials warn it could burn for weeks, even months, as more of it goes underground in places. CTV's Emma Convey shows us.
Here's the problem firefighters face in Annapolis County. It's called smoldering. Essentially, the fire is in many areas burning underground.
It's burning deep because of the drought, and these fires can smolder for days, weeks, months, and even survive the winter.
The Department of Natural Resources says this fire is nearly 8,500 hectares. It's being held. The goal is getting it under control.
Where it will be 100% the fire won't spread, and then from under control, we'll continue to work till there's no hot spots left, and that's when the fire would be deemed extinguished.
Those hot spots are what firefighters are trying to root out. There could be thousands of them, but how do you fight a fire you can't see?
That's what we're seeing, is the fire burning very, very deep into the ground, and just requiring and burning very intensely as well. So it's requiring that much more effort to fully extinguish it. So in a lot of cases, crews are using a lot of water with their nozzles and hand tools, digging up these hot spots.
Because as long as it's smoldering, it's a chance that it can go back to a flaming combustion and start spreading.
It's burning out the roots of live trees, which could cause them to fall over. Crews have been working to clear those hazards around homes.
As we get into farther stages of extinguishment and there's less and less smoke, we'll actually bring in infrared scanning tools that'll either be operated through helicopter or drone, and we'll fly over the area with the infrared scanners, and they'll pick up heat that's not visible.
All that means the Long Lake fire is a long way from being out. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
As we reported last night, Halifax Water could implement mandatory water restrictions backed up by fines as early as this week. City reservoirs are drying up. Well, there's one municipality that currently has restrictions in place. Our Josh Smith went to Springhill to see the problem.
The readings on these gauges are not where they should be. On August 30th, the municipality of Cumberland County imposed mandatory water restrictions on Springhill residents after water levels in the town's main water supply dropped to critically low levels.
We've been monitoring daily the brook levels throughout the month of August and right up till today, and we've seen that the brook levels continue to decline.
And the reason for these low water levels?
Prolonged periods without rainfall, leaving the brook supplied by surface water features. There's some lakes and swamps and tributaries, as well as springs. And without rain coming, those don't get refilled.
The Springhill water treatment facility, fed by Leamington Brook, serves 3,500 residents, including the federal penitentiary, which can house over 600 inmates.
We put a voluntary water restriction on. Interestingly enough, water consumption went up, so now we've had to go to a mandatory restriction. And again, it's about protecting the resource for everyone.
Residents are being asked to save water by cutting back on car washes, watering gardens, and taking shorter showers. The county has already closed splash parks and taking down water baskets early to show they mean business.
But yeah, the splash park kind of sucks, so it's on, especially the hot days. It's nice to have it, but I think everybody gets it around here.
Officials warn that continued low water levels could lead to the activation backup well, which could lead to a boil water advisory.
I think overall people understand the situation, and we're hopeful they're going to do their best to help us out.
Authorities say shutting off a customer's water would be a last resort, but the restrictions could last several more weeks.
Without the crystal ball to understand when it's going to rain, I'll go back to 2020, and it was the middle of November when we lifted restrictions in 2020.
Josh Smith, CTV News, Springhill, Nova Scotia.
Still to come, a rather summer-like day tomorrow. Kalen will have the details in the full maritime forecast when we return in 2 minutes.
Start your morning with us an hour early. We have a fresh new look starting Monday, September 15th, filled with news, weather, and the same laughs you love. Your Morning Atlantic from 6 to 9 on CTV2 and CTVAtlantic.ca.
Well, it says it right there at the bottom of the screen. Swallowtail Light. Grand Manan, 17 degrees. Beautiful evening in the Fundy Isles.
Yeah, very nice evening.
We know we've got very loyal viewers there, so
yes.
Nice to see you.
Going to have a very clear night for them tonight, and similar weather conditions coming up for tomorrow. So Grand Manan, Campobello, looking at very nice weather coming
Deer
up
Island,
on Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. We were talking a little bit yesterday about the fall foliage in the Maritimes. So here's a map about when we typically hit the peak of the colors here in the region. So northern half of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, anywhere usually between early and mid-October. And then for the rest of the Maritimes, right around mid-October, maybe extending towards late October around parts of the coastline, right?
Yep.
This year, though, it wouldn't surprise me if we start to see changes happen quicker because of the tree stress in the region due to the very dry conditions. That's right. And from the reading I've done so far, it looks like under very dry conditions, drought conditions as well, the colors displayed aren't quite as impressive as usual. I'm sure it's still going to be very picturesque out there across the Maritimes a little bit later on, but maybe not up to the lofty standards of years past. Let's take a look at weather conditions across the country. We've got 21 degrees right now, Prince George. It is warming up again in through the prairies, 28 at Edmonton this hour. We got 27 at Regina and 26 at Winnipeg. Moving off towards the east, it's low 20s through southern Ontario and into southern areas of Quebec. 21 at Fredericton right now, 19 at Halifax, 18 at Charlottetown, and 16 degrees in St. John's. With that area of high pressure in place for tonight, most of the Maritimes will be seeing a very clear night sky, maybe with a little bit of patchy fog developing during the overnight. Some high cloud cover lingering around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia and in the southwest of that province. Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon, we'll see cloud cover begin to increase once again off the Atlantic for Nova Scotia. Few fair weather high clouds reaching southern areas of New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. Later on Wednesday, by Wednesday evening, a chance of some showers around the south shore of Nova Scotia. So from the southwest, Yarmouth, moving up through Shelburne County, Queens County, and into Lunenburg County. And that's because of that low pressure system that's moving up and along that front. There will then be, during the overnight and for Thursday, a chance of showers basically up and down the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia and into the east of the province. I'm still going to just say a chance of showers, though, because it's a really close call with that weather system as to whether the bulk of the rain could hold out over the ocean. Taking a look at winds in the forecast for tomorrow, mostly out of the south like today on the lighter side, sustained between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures tonight in the Maritimes, mostly around the mid to high single digits for New Brunswick, and then between 8 and 12 degrees for most of Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia, except on the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, where some lows will be between 13 and 16. Highs in northern New Brunswick for tomorrow between 22 and 25 degrees, central and southern parts of the province. Very nice day, 24 for Fredericton for tomorrow, 19 at Campobello, 20 at Grand Manan, 22 for St. John, and 24 for Moncton. Prince Edward Island tomorrow with high temperatures in the low 20s and lots of low 20s as well for Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, 20 to 22 degrees. Eastern parts of the mainland, mostly between 19 and 23. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia for tomorrow with high temperatures, high teens, low 20s, and in the southwest of the province, high temperatures tomorrow, mostly in the low 20s, 21 to 23 degrees. In the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick coming up on Thursday, it's a mix of sun and cloud, a little bit the breezy side. Same thing goes for Friday, though mostly sunny. A mix of sun and cloud in the weekend forecast, and to start off next week, and sunshine on Tuesday, high temperatures over much of the next several days, mostly in the low 20s. Nova Scotia in the forecast, it's that chance of showers on Thursday, and then after that, sunshine for Friday as high pressure moves back into place. A bit of a breezy day, though. A mix of sun and cloud for both Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with sunshine in the forecast for next Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island coming up on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud, breezy north wind. That'll cool temperatures down for Friday, high near 16 degrees. 19 on Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud, 22 on Sunday, and then low 20s in the forecast for the start of next week.
Just an incredible stretch we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See you for the wake up weather at the end of the show. Next, we'll talk about what might be behind the decision to keep fans away from the Davis Cup. And we have this story on the scene.
Hey folks, my name is Cameron Nickerson. I'm a singer-songwriter from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and I'm here to chat about my CCMA nomination. We'll tell you more coming up.
Okay, so 5K a day is back. Your chance to win $5,000 daily. Keywords 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And tomorrow at 7:30, your shot at $100 to studio.
Back now to the development in the Davis Cup tennis tournament set for this weekend in Halifax between Canada and Israel. Fans will not be allowed inside as organizations fear a disruption. Chris Lewis is CTV News public safety analyst and former commissioner of the Ontario Provincial Police. We've reached him in Orillia, Ontario. Nice to see you, Chris.
You too, Todd.
Hey, look, right off the top, I want to read part of the statement and get your reaction. Tennis Canada says that it made the move because of, quote, escalating safety concerns, intelligence received from local authorities and national security agencies. What does that language signal to you?
Well, to me, this is more than they're worried about a protest. They must be worried about some sort of action that would take place to totally disrupt it while it's going on, or bring some potential harm to people that are participating or watching. So there's something there. It's bigger than the normal, well, we might have a protest. Probably going to have a protest anyway. But with people inside and an active, group of folks, it could be worse. And we've seen worse around the world.
Well, in fact, there have been advertisements around town, placards and the like that say, there would be a rally, a demonstration. More from the statement, it adds, quote, disruptions witnessed at other recent events in Canada and internationally indicated a risk of significant disruption to this event. Again, that word significant stands out.
Absolutely it does. So significant, like I said, that's more than someone's going to throw a pie or some people are going to block the road. That is something going to occur inside and potentially harmful to those there. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about in terms of other world events because I don't follow tennis and I don't know if in fact that's happened somewhere. But let's face it, I mean, there's been all kinds of issues around the world, many protests, and they get very, very animated and emotional. And so they've obviously, between CSIS, the RCMP, local police, they've come up with some sort of threat that they didn't call it off, the organizers did, but they did it because of the information passed on by the authorities.
Okay, well, that was my next question. Would law enforcement had a hand in a request to lock this event down?
Absolutely. The law enforcement would just say, here's what we think. And so here's the risk you're running. Here's the security we can or can't provide. Here's what we can guarantee or not. Your call. And therefore, the organization itself made the call based on that information.
Based on your experience, the OPP, is this type of thing rare in Canada?
Fairly rare. I've seen in Ottawa had a big festival planned for the long weekend past, and they canceled it because of there's some street violence in the area the night before. Once again, some sort of intelligence information, and not being confident they could totally protect it, they canceled many bands and many disappointed people. So this is kind of more focus on Palestine, Israel, obviously, which is at a fever pitch right now. Yeah. And so something's come up that's caused them to say, whoa, let's think about it.
Well, look, we've had local demonstrations. They've been peaceful. Do you think there might be an external player involved here that would make police, take this move?
But that'd only be a guess on my part. Obviously, I don't know. But ultimately, there's some players out there that they know are bigger threats than others. So who knows what they know? They're not going to tell us, unfortunately.
Yeah. In fact, we heard from Halifax police when we contacted them this afternoon, and they told us that they will have a presence in and around the event, but because of obvious reasons, they can't provide operational details. Would you expect that Halifax police would be the lead agency on this, or might we see others? And perhaps what kind of presence do you think we could see around that facility?
Well, the RCMP as the provincial police and as the federal police in Newfoundland will be involved, I'm sure. So Halifax Police is a big department, lots of expertise there. But when you start talking about potential security threats are on an international scale, that ups the ante. So Halifax will be really upfront and present in terms of encircling the place and trying to keep bad actors out of there. And the RCMP will be involved, and there'll be folks inside too, and others that you can't see. There'll be a strong security presence.
Chris, would you have expected that perhaps they might have just canceled this outright?
Well, and that was the thought when I read the release, Todd, that you still have a threat of people coming and going and people trying to get in. So somewhere in their threat analysis, they think they can contain it and protect that, as opposed to having all those people inside and being able to stop everything. So, there's all kinds of things in my mind here at play, and let's hope it just goes well as they have it set up.
CTV Public Safety Analyst Chris Lewis, your insight is always appreciated, and that is no different tonight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Todd.
We'll take a break. We're back in 2 minutes. In our nightly look at health news, when was the last time you had your blood sugar checked? Might be worth looking into. CTV's Amanda Debison tells us why in the Lifeline.
Nearly half of people with diabetes around the world don't know they have it. Then That's according to a new study that found 44% of people age 15 and older with diabetes are undiagnosed. The research, which looked at data from more than 200 countries and territories, revealed key differences. For example, younger people are much less likely to be diagnosed, and higher income countries are doing a better job of identifying the disease. Experts say early diagnosis is key because undiagnosed diabetes can lead to long-term problems. Finally, do you ever go to bed with wet hair? If you do, you may want to reconsider because dermatologists say it could damage your hair and scalp in the long run.
When the hair is wet, it can be more fragile and it's more prone to like snapping, stretching, or breaking.
Experts say the friction against your pillowcase can cause hair to break. But even more concerning is sleeping with wet hair can lead to fungal infections of the scalp, which can cause dandruff and other skin issues. Doctors say it's best to let your hair air dry before getting into bed, and if you need to dry faster, using a hair dryer on low heat or cool is best. You want to avoid any extreme heat as it can lead to further damage. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
It's The Scene with Katie Kelly tonight, a Yarmouth singer-songwriter who just scored his first Canadian Country Music Award nomination.
Pretty cool.
That's exciting.
Cameron Nickerson is being recognized for his creativity. Cameron Nickerson is up for Innovative Campaign of the Year at the Canadian Country Music Awards.
I was very surprised. I didn't know we had put in for this, so yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
6 years ago, he embarked on a cross-country journey through Via Rail's artist program, an experience that inspired Wheels of Steel.
Well, I guess in 2019, I wrote the song before going on the train, and I had barely been out of the Maritimes. And I went by myself, so I was nervous. It was just kind of about the pre-jitters of kind of leaving and western bound.
When the program resumed after the pandemic, Nickerson and his team saw an opportunity to turn the train trip into a creative marketing campaign.
So we did the trip, and the whole way along the trip, we were kind of like filming content and sneaking little bits in about this song. And then we released a song after we got back off the train.
The strategy worked, catching the attention of the Canadian Country Music Association.
Cross Canada train trip with the song, CCMA's Canadian Country Music, it all kind of tied in together.
Boarding a train, changing the game, burning a flame into the frame.
Wheels of Steel is the first single from his upcoming album, set for release in February.
My grandfather was a bluegrass artist, and I always told myself I was going to do a bluegrass album. It just, something about last year felt right to do it.
Yeah, but I've been up for days now, John, run. Can you bring me down?
It also includes a heartfelt tribute to John Prine.
John Prine was always kind of able to bring me back to baseline when I was going through some stuff. So that day he passed, I was as well going through some stuff, and just put him on, and he kind of just brought me down to base level like he usually does, and I kind of just wrote the little tune about that.
Wish I could stay in this imaginary kitchen.
As he gets ready to head to Kelowna, BC for the CCMAs this weekend, Nickerson says he's soaking up the moment.
Just really trying to enjoy it, you know, stay clean, stay healthy, and just try to get through it all as best I can. But life's great right now.
My last
All right, good for him.
You're liking that sound.
I love bluegrass. You want to get a bunch of phone numbers? Take a guitar on a train.
Okay.
We'll leave it there.
Okay.
One of Canada's biggest pop stars of the 2000s, I should add, is back on stage.
Yes, and he's bringing the party back to the Maritimes this fall.
But I gotta keep it real tonight. Yeah.
Multi-platinum singer and dancer Sean Desmond has announced dates for his Back to Life tour. Fans in Atlantic Canada will get their chance to see him live with 4 shows, including Fredericton November 4th,
St. John November 5th, Halifax November 6th, and Charlottetown on November 7th. Tickets for all dates go on sale Friday, and you can find more details about when and where online.
You like him. You've talked to him a couple times,
He
right?
is awesome, yes, and I was a fan when all of these songs were, big, first big hits,
Right.
For sure.
Well,
I went to his last show, and it was great.
Yeah, good to see him coming back. I can't believe this, but it's never too early to get into holiday mode, it would seem, right?
It's not. We're diving right in right now. 2 Canadian country stars are teaming up to bring some Christmas cheer to the Maritimes this November.
Silent night, holy night.
George Canyon and Aaron Prachette are hitting the road together for a coast-to-coast cowboy Christmas. The 35-date tour will kick off right here on the East Coast with stops in Windsor, November 12th, Annapolis Royal, November 13th, Pictou, November 14th, St. John, November 15th, and Summerside, November 16th. Tickets go on sale Friday.
I bet you they take their guitars on the train.
I bet you they both do. Although, yeah, both very happily married.
Yes.
I don't know what you're getting at, but...
Well, we'll leave it there.
We will.
See you tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, bye.
We'll see you after this.
Mornings with Crash and Sarah Betts.
We're going to look back at 35 years of Harvest Music Festival tomorrow morning. Share us your favorite memories.
Plus, your shot at $20,000 continues. First Dream Big keyword at 6 a.m.
Unfortunately, we don't have our business report tonight, but we do have Kayla Mitchell on the weather deck with a wrap of the forecast. And before you start, I know you're going to show this picture. This has to have been last night.
Yes, it was.
I was down along the water, and the amount of people with cameras out, look at that spectacular Lockport.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, isn't it? Phenomenal colors at around sunset last night around many parts of the Maritimes. And this one was taken in at Lockport, Nova Scotia. It was sent in by Scott Nickerson. I want to thank Scott very much for sending in this picture. I mean, you just take a look at the fiery colors here in this photograph. Lockport for tomorrow, looking at not a bad day. Increase in cloudiness. High temperature will be near 20 degrees. I've got the shower icon in there because beginning, looks like tomorrow evening, there'll be a chance of showers as a low pressure system moves up and along that stalled front that we were talking about throughout the program. Day planner for tomorrow. Start of the day around the Maritimes. Morning temperatures, a little cool to brisk, mostly around the high single digits. Mid-single digits for a few areas in New Brunswick. Looking at a lot of sunshine for northern and central areas of New Brunswick for tomorrow. A little bit of high cloud cover into the south of that province. A little bit of high cloud cover increasing for Prince Edward Island throughout the day, and increasing cloudiness for Nova Scotia. Todd. Oh, actually, what's coming up tomorrow on CTV Morning Live?
Wednesday on CTV Morning Live, the sweet smell of success.
We'll visit the father-daughter duo behind Dartmouth's Coastal Cove Candle Company and find out what inspires their scents.
News, weather, and more. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, Wednesday.
Finally tonight, it's not every day you see hundreds of people lined up to buy a book, but that's exactly what happened in Prague today. Crowds filled the Old Town Square in the Czech capital for the launch of The Secret of Secrets. Now that is Dan Brown's new novel, set in Chechnya. Some of these Dan Brown fans waited in line all night. The first 100 people in line walked away with a signed copy. Brown, of course, is best known as the author of the Da Vinci Code. He set his latest Robert Langdon book in Prague, and that certainly created a lot of excitement in Chechnya. Brown was in the Maritimes, of course, last year for a performance of his children's symphony in Moncton and St. Andrews. Big day in Prague. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here at 11:30 with our late update. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has the poll and updates. I'm Todd Battis. I hope to see you right back here tomorrow night at 6. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.